recommendations, including imposing tariffs on Chinese imports to correct the problem. After the hearing, 2 of the commissioners told me it was the most important testimony they had heard in their tenure, but little to nothing changed over the following half-decade. My warnings over China went largely unheeded, just as though they had throughout the 1990s when I editorialized and fought against allowing China to join the WTO, the ratification of the North American Free Trade Agreement, NAFTA, and Washington's radical free trade agenda. Well before 2010, it was clear to me that the issue of American trade relations with China was not an isolated problem, but was instead emblematic of larger issues in U.S. trade policy. The political establishments of both the Republican and Democratic parties, under the influence of multinational corporations and importers, were unwilling or unable to recognize their mistakes. Instead, they remained convinced that rather than protect American workers and manufacturers, government policy had to put them at risk amid a quest to maximize corporate profits and economic efficiency while minimizing consumer prices. The result of this effort today is a starker, more indisputable failure than even I could have predicted. While corporate profits soared for a select group of importers and retailers, many of America's manufacturing companies were hollowed out, forced either into bankruptcy or into moving their factories abroad. And what about ordinary Americans? Though prices for some products declined, wage growth in this country has utterly stagnated since the 1980s, driven in large part by the decline of manufacturing sector employment. As a result, increasingly, working-class families must rely on 2 full-time incomes in lower-end service sector jobs to maintain the same quality of life one manufacturing sector income once provided. It is no exaggeration to say that American leaders traded the health of the U.S. industrial base and the good-paying manufacturing jobs it supported for current consumption and little more. A look at the specifics emphasizes the problem. We have had 50 straight years of trade deficits with Japan, annual deficits of more than $300 billion with China for years, and enormous and sharply growing deficits with Europe, primarily Germany and Ireland, and a whopping 27% of Vietnam's entire economy is exports to the United States. The first personal computer was rolled out by Apple in 1976, made in America. Today, the vast majority of our personal computers are imported, and those few that are made domestically are assembled largely with imported parts. In 2020, almost $90 billion worth of computers were imported. In 1995, America was the largest producer of solar cells globally, with 45% of world production. Today, virtually no solar cells are made in America, and 78% of world production is in China. From the 1960s through the 1980s, the United States was the lead source of rare earth materials, largely from Mountain Pass Mine in California. Today, because of Chinese industrial policy, the United States accounts for just 12% of global production, while China accounts for 62%. North Carolina had a vibrant furniture manufacturing sector with 90,000 middle-class jobs. Within 10 years of China joining the WTO, imports flooded our markets, and half the workforce lost their jobs. Now, 73% of all furniture sold in America is imported. In 1990, the United States imported about $40 billion worth of cars. That number exploded to more than $180 billion by 2020, and for the first time in our history, less than half the cars sold in America may be assembled here. In the 1970s and 1980s, the United States was the world's leading producer of critical semiconductors. Today, we manufacture only 12% of global supply, and we cannot make any of the most advanced chips. For the first time in our history, the United States is on track to import more food than we export. Donald Trump was elected president in 2016 in substantial part because he opposed the failed policy that got us such miserable results and promised to change it. He asked me to head up his trade policy and negotiation effort because I had spent my professional life fighting against these same forces. For nearly 40 years, I had litigated, negotiated, and editorialized.